Welcome to Salon and Married, a Destroy the Hairdresser podcast. I'm Joy.
And I'm Naz.
We've been married for 20 years, have 2 kids, own a salon together, and have countless number of cats.
We'll be sharing how we balance marriage, work, family, and all the stuff that life throws at us.
So whether you own a business together or just need support in your relationship, we're here to help you figure it all out.
Let's go.
Everyone, my name is Joy.
And I'm Nazareth.
And we are married, and we own a salon, and we have cats running around. You'll probably see a lot of them. So maybe it's a drinking game. Like when you see a cat, you take a shot.
You all would be pretty drunk.
But today we are going to talk about why and when you should not take your husband's advice. And I'm saying this as somebody who deeply loves their husband, who values your opinion. But I also think that, when we get into it, but I actually think that this is part of the reason of why our marriage is strong. And it has to do with the fact that I am a coach, and I coach a lot of salon owners and hairdressers over the last few years being a coach. And I've seen when a stylist or a salon owner comes to me and they are at the end of their rope. They are burnt out. They are like ready to set fire. They potentially could be, working sometimes 6 days a week. They're booked out till, next year. Or they are just really tired, or they don't know what the next step is in their career. They are very, what we call in coaching, very reactive, which means that all of their decision-making process is coming from that fight or flight type of modality, right? They're just like, I'm in a fight or flight survival mode, and that's how I'm making decisions. And when they come to me and we start working together and we start understanding this fight or flight decision-making process, and they start to slow down and they start to do the pause and they start to actually ask themselves, like, what do I want out of my next step in career, my business, etc. And they usually come to some decisions that they feel really exemplify like what they want. And there has been more times than I could ever hope as a coach where the stylist, the student will come to me and say, I talked to my husband about some of these changes that I want to make, and they don't agree.
Yeah.
And while, again, I'm coming from somebody who's clearly been in a long-term loving relationship, and I understand that, I understand how hard it is when your partner is coming to you and saying, like, I want to burn everything to the ground and rebuild it. I get it. It can be scary. And even sometimes even these changes that the student it might be going to their husband with is so little. It's so little to me, or to that, to the stylist. They're like, I raise my prices, or I just move my schedule to actually fit my life better. I don't work, till 8 p.m. I stop work at 6, and it's just like, sometimes even just a little bit of change can set the partner into fight or flight. And so being somebody who's married to someone like me, who at times has been like, I'm definitely more the entrepreneurial person in our relationship. I'm definitely the one that has like some really big like ideas. But it's funny because you have big ideas, but like just in a different sphere. Like you're the one who's like, yeah, it's no big deal to just like, hitchhike across the United States, where I'm like, oh my God, I would never, right? We each have like we each have our like risk-taking areas, but mine has definitely been in like business and taking kind of bigger risks like that. And so, I think that there like, so what would you say to a husband, to a partner, where a boyfriend, supportive person in someone's life where the salon owner, the stylist is at their rope and they're ready to make a change for their betterment, for the health of their business, for the health of themselves, and they get that pushback from their partner?
Well, I've given you that pushback, so I can speak from experience. So when we first moved to Los Angeles, obviously Joy was a very successful hairdresser in San Diego. Like, you were doing really well, you were really busy. But then we moved to a new city where we literally knew one couple when we moved to Los Angeles.
Yeah, and I wasn't going to charge her to do
Yeah.
her hair.
You're like, hey, if you could just pay me $1,000 a week to do your hair, we're good.
I'm just like, please be my friend. Don't leave me.
So, you started, she started, you assisted somewhere, you did, just trying.
I did. I was a receptionist.
Yeah, just trying whatever she could to get back in the industry, to get some clients to do this stuff. And, at one point, after a couple of years, it just felt like you were treading water. Like, you just couldn't
break through,
couldn't get momentum. Every time you'd start at one place, you'd start to do well, and then something would happen where the salon fell apart or something, and you eventually ended up in a good situation, but you just didn't know how you were going to get to the next level. Like she said, she's always been an entrepreneur, always wanted to open a business, open a salon at one point, but just didn't know how to get there. And so when she was doing okay, but it was like when it came time to coaching and you found out about Destroy the Hairdresser and you were going to get into coaching, I was like, how much is it a month? And you're going to do what? And like, what's it for? You're already a hairdresser. Like, you're already doing okay. Like, what's the problem? And you were at the end of your rope.
Yeah.
And I kind of just was like, well, what do you need them for? Like, you just keep grinding, or whatever. Mm-hmm. I wasn't knowledgeable about it. And so I felt that sort of fear of lack. Like, all I saw was money going out the window. Right. I didn't think of the long term. And of course, like, you didn't know for sure either, because you'd signed up for the courses with the forms and
all the
virtual things and stuff, and like nothing really ever stuck. So why I understand why people would think, well, what's this going to do? Or why coaching? Or well, you've been doing this for this long, like, just raising your prices, $30 an hour, how's that going to change anything? What if you lose all your clients? What if this doesn't work and we lose all our money? That's the kind of fear of lack that I had. But also at the same time, I realized at a certain point, I was, hopefully I had the self-reflection to realize I didn't know anything about the salon industry. So when they're telling you things to do that seem radical, like going hourly, not taking tips, charging significantly more, those things didn't sound right to me. They sounded, because they weren't comfortable. Mm-hmm. They weren't the norm. Mm-hmm. And I think that's a lot of what makes partners, especially husbands, uncomfortable, is that, like, no, but you've been doing it this way for so long, which is, the definition of insanity is, doing the same thing the same way and expecting a different result. Mm-hmm. If that's even true. But that's sort of like, but everything's comfortable now. You're doing okay. We're not changing anything up. I love the punk rock aspect of the DTH method, which is probably what ultimately got me on board. But also, like, you explained to me, like, I'm so burnt out. I'm so done. I need something to change. And I think taking that to heart was like, okay, let's go for it and see what happens. And of course, it changed the trajectory of our entire lives. We own a salon. We're doing this.
Bought a house.
Just all the things that have happened since then, obviously in hindsight, I'm like, oh, yeah, I'm a genius because I was behind this from day one, but I honestly wasn't.
Yeah.
And I think that, because the methods are, not the norm, it feels uncomfortable and it takes risk, which is something that, I feel like in the hair industry and in a lot of jobs, in the corporate world where I am, risk is something that's not necessarily celebrated. And it's something that is, you know, it's sort of like, let's just keep everything the status quo and try and like do our jobs and just keep everything chill. Because when you start taking risk and you start being the loudmouth and you start doing these things, that's when like attention's on you.
Yeah.
And then it's like, well, this better work or I'm screwed.
Yeah.
And so that's, you know, I understand that mentality, but it's something
Yeah.
that I had to realize, like, I don't actually know what I'm talking about.
Okay, so I did mention that I think what we've learned along the way, and especially I would say we both started a lot of our personal growth journeys around the same time. So, a little bit of a backstory. In 2014, I got hit by a car walking across the street, broke my back in 2 places, 3 places, internal bleeding, the whole thing. Um, During the year of me healing, I also had heart surgery. We were also dealing with like a big family like upheaval, not between us, but like in our like immediate family. And then almost a year to me breaking my back, you tore an artery in your neck and had 2 strokes. And then after your strokes and being a young stroke victim, you started going through really bad panic disorder, PTSD, etc. Your journey through healing from that, my journey of healing from all of that as well, really brought us to this place of, hey, your marriage has been great until now. Your lives have been great until now. What you've done in the past has been great until now. What you've done in the past has gotten you here. Is it going to get you further? And I think both of us kind of started to go on this very intense journey of self. And we both used same modalities, different modalities, but both kind of but both were at the same time where each of us had to give each other the space to actually change and to actually grow. So when you were struggling with something, I didn't take it personally. When I was struggling with something, you didn't take it personally. And we each gave each other the space to say, okay, if I love you and if I trust that the higher power, God, the universe has a plan for you and has a plan for me, it's going to lead us to unity together. And I think that sometimes when a student gets into coaching and they start to go down that journey of self-discovery and they start becoming a different person, or not even a different person, I believe that they become more of who they've always been. Mm-hmm. They're just now more free to set boundaries and
they're becoming a more complete person.
They're removing
sanctification, you might say.
Sanctification's one word of it. They're removing, these like scales of insecurities, of fear, and they're becoming like more bold and more confident and, all of these things. And sometimes the partner is seeing their partner go through this whole self-discovery and this journey of growth. And I think that it triggers that fight, flight, fright, survival mode of the partner who says, if they're growing and becoming a different person, what does that mean for me?
Sure.
And I think when I have seen students go through this program and they start to grow and their partner starts to grow as well, mm-hmm. either through the things that they're learning from their student or they're seeing their partner, again, like remove fear, remove insecurities, become more confident, set boundaries, blah, blah, blah. And they start to do it themselves and go like, well, I want that. I want to do that. And I want to support you in that. And I want to give you the space to do that. It's amazing.
Yeah.
Absolutely amazing. And I've had students where they're like, my marriage has gotten better. My relationships with my family's gotten better. My relationship with friends and parenting. But then there's also a subsect where the partner just can't handle that growth.
Mm.
They can't handle the fact that their partner might be making more money than them, can't handle the fact that their partner is becoming somebody who is getting all of their light and energy from within and not from them, which the partner also needs to get all their light and their energy from within. So it's just this, I see that. And I think that you and I, and that after that time of the really hard period, those really hard years that we had, where everything, we were just getting like, just kicked in the face over and over and over again. We use that as that opportunity and that catalyst to really grow. And I think you and I, even though it was kind of like mine was kind of through coaching and therapy and a lot of self-help books, yours was through really intense CBT therapy. And, you know, like we both knew that this is best for both of us. If we grow, if we choose to go through the uncomfortability of rediscovering who you are, because we have been together since we were 19 years old. Mm-hmm. If you still acted like a 19-year-old, I wouldn't be with you. If I still acted like a 19-year-old, you wouldn't want to be with me either.
Well, I think too, I mean, you know,
we have to grow. We have to grow.
When we first got married,
give each other the space to grow.
You were dealing with your own anxiety issues. And my response to that was just snap out of it. Don't, you know, what's your problem? I didn't understand anxiety at all. After I had, you know, the injury and the strokes, like I developed really bad anxiety, and it brought me to a level where I'm like, oh, I know what that is now. And I know that it's crippling, and it can be, you know, it can take over your life. And it's something that I didn't understand before. Mm-hmm. And I think that sort of going through all that stuff helped us be like, oh, like opening a salon, like what's the worst that could happen? You know what I mean? Like we've been hit by cars. We've already been the worst. Yeah. So, but also like, I think a lot of
we've already been to the brink of like, should we move in with your parents? So yeah. Like if everything goes to shit now and we move in with your parents, we're like, we're
obviously we have the privilege of having family that has homes and things like that. Sure. That other people may not have. But I think the idea that, we grew together, we faced all these things together. Now it's like, okay, how can we tackle, what's the next thing we would need to tackle, if you want to call it that? Opening a salon. Okay, how are we going to do this? Like she's very entrepreneurial, very like go-getter. I'm more of like the like, you know, I guess sort of logical.
Where's all this money coming from?
You've got all the dreams. She's got all the dreams. I've got the like pen and paper. Are you sure this is going to work? But we can work on that together where we don't have to, it's not your business. It's not, and it is our, I mean, you run the day to day. It is our business. But even if I wasn't on the LLC, it's still our business because we are married. We're together. Everything's intertwined.
We're on the same team.
But I know that I'm not going to tell you how many, you know, boxes of color to order. That's not what I know. Yeah. But I can go, oh, I can handle payroll.
Yeah.
I can look at our numbers and see, you know, how much profit we made last month.
Yeah.
Whereas you are the one that's out, like, I'm not sitting there going, are you sure you want to hire that person? You know, it's like, that's your, we've made these roles for ourselves, but also I know that I trust you because I believe you have such knowledge and such experience in this industry that I don't need to worry about you making like rash decisions.
Yeah.
And I think that when you first talked about Destroy the Hairdresser and I was nervous about the cost and everything, and you kind of came to me and said, look, I'm done. I can't do this anymore. I can't keep plowing away, not at our relationship, but as like, a hairdresser, like I can't keep doing this much longer.
I was definitely on a hamster wheel.
And I think that was the time where I was like, okay, let's go. Because I was listening to you pour out your soul to me and tell me the honest truth, where it wasn't just, it's not about money anymore. It's about my wife needs something to change in order for her to feel like she's not stuck.
Yeah.
And like we've both been in places like that before where it's like, you know, how do we support each other? I mean, we have friends that have opened salons that, you know, the partner didn't even show up to hammer in a nail or anything. And I'm like,
Right.
okay, maybe that's a relationship. I'm not going to judge that. But like, to me, I'm like, like, how could you not
Support
be
your
there
partner.
and support them and all that? So
Yeah.
the idea of not listening to your husband or your partner isn't about,
Yeah.
if you're on the same page, really working things out together. But I think I almost picture it like, you know, you're on a coaching call with someone and I hear the husband yelling from the other room, oh, that's not going to work. It's like you're not together working on it.
Yeah.
It's just an outside voice that
Yeah.
doesn't really know what's going on,
Yeah.
kind of just giving into the fear and the anxiety. You
Yeah.
and I both dealt with anxiety. We know how it is.
Yeah.
But the fear and the anxiety of, but I'm comfortable right now. And I
Yeah.
think that's how I felt. I'm like, yeah, I know you're not comfortable, but I'm comfortable. And if you start going into this coaching thing and things start
Yes.
changing, I'll get uncomfortable.
And I think you hit the nail on the head. I think that ultimately is the struggle that a partner could have when their salon person is wanting to change things and is at that end of the rope. That person is like, but I'm comfortable.
Mm-hmm.
And if you change, it might make me uncomfortable. So what would you say to that partner?
Get uncomfortable. You can't grow without pain. It's almost like, I mean, it's so cliche at this point, but it's like if, I heard, I was reading a book and the guy said, if your goals don't make you uncomfortable or don't cause you pain, they're not goals.
Mm-hmm.
It's just something you want to do.
What would you say though to a partner who says, but if my partner changes, if my partner goes through this evolution of self-growth and actualization, you know what I mean? I'm fear about losing them.
Mm-hmm.
I fear like, what if they outgrow me and they want a divorce? They want to break up. They don't want to be with me anymore. I think that's a real fear.
Sure. And I'm tempted to echo my like CBT therapist where he'd go, I don't know, maybe. Because if you don't know CBT therapy, it's very like.
Do you think he'd come on our podcast?
Maybe. But it's all about not reassurance, because a lot of anxiety is about reassurance. And that's exactly what we're talking about here. The fear is temporarily vanquished when you say, oh, don't worry, nothing's going to change. But of course things are going to change.
Right.
But that short-term uncomfortability can give you long-term fulfillment because you're going to feel the pain, but grow with your partner. Talk to your partner about their growth.
Yeah.
Don't just sit back and say, because the fear is, if I sit here and stay the same and they change, then what's going to happen to us? And the answer is, everything is uncertain. Life is uncertain. You're dealing with uncertainty every day.
Yeah.
But if you can come alongside your partner and support them, I mean, what's a better like
form of love
than supporting your partner when they're trying to change for the better? And like, things are going to fail. Things are not going to work. That's just how life is.
Yeah.
But if you're just sitting in the background criticizing, is that what you think is going to make your marriage and your relationship better?
Yeah. Take a shot.
Excuse me. This is a professional operation. Is that what's going to make things better? It's the same thing we talk about with salon owners. If you guilt and shame what we talked about in the last podcast, if you guilt and shame your stylist into staying, is that really the best for you and for them? Or is it better to lift them up? And if, they...
Because I mean, the way I see it is like, okay, your partner, you have two partners. One of them wants to grow, wants to change. The other partner is scared that they're going to change and grow them. The end is divorce.
Right.
True.
Yeah.
So then your instinctive, solution is, well, just don't let them grow.
Right.
Divorce.
Yeah, exactly. Probably quicker.
And probably really quick.
Yeah.
Even quicker. Then the other option is your partner wants to grow. You decide to also grow. Maybe you grow to the point where you go, we never should have been together. That could be an option.
Sure.
Probably more than likely, you're going to grow, you're going to go together, and there's going to be unity, and you'll be closer than ever.
Yeah.
And you'll be even happier. You'll have a better relationship together. You'll have a better relationship with yourself, with your higher power, with your kids, your family, everybody around you.
Also, I feel like this is
always choose growth.
This is a symptom of something else.
Yeah.
If you're struggling this hard with a business decision that is like your partner's making, that's not even that big of a deal, there's probably other things where you're not supporting your partner either. 1,000%. Or you guys aren't having the communication that you need. 1,000%. Or you're not having the conversations and the support that you need. So,
and I think that that's the thing, is that when people sign up for coaching, especially, with me, I'm all about like, have the hard conversation. Like if your partner is in coaching, they are being encouraged to go towards the hard shit, go towards the uncomfortable stuff, have the hard conversation, uncover the insecurities, uncover why you've been functioning with one belief as opposed to the belief that you actually want to function out of. And sometimes that partner, it's almost like it's growth on like overdrive, right? It's like fast forward. And sometimes the other person's like, dude, I was just trying to go to the gym like once a month, It's like, this is a lot, So I get it, but just choose growth.
Last thing, I remember early in our relationship, we would kind of hold back things that made us upset until we got in like an argument.
Yeah.
And then we'd be like, you always do this. You always do this. And of course, I'm super analytical. I go, when?
You need the receipt.
I need the date and time that I did.
I need timestamps.
And you'd be like, I don't know.
I need transcripts. And I'm just like, I just feel this.
Yeah. And so it became this thing where she, usually would be her saying, you always do this. And it always upsets me. And I'd go, when? I don't remember doing that. Yeah. And instead we kind of said, hey, how about we start like just, if something bothers us, we just bring it up right away.
Right away.
And I think that's the sort of thing too, that really helps communication, is like, instead of it building up until a point where it's an explosion, it's just like, hey, did you mean that when you said that? And then it's like, oh no, I didn't mean that. I meant this. And it's like, oh, okay. Or yeah, I mean, we've both had times where we're like, I'm sorry, I'm just hungry.
Yeah.
being a dick because I'm hungry. And it's like, that's our family, like our whole family, both of our kids. If we're hungry or tired, like it's game on.
Yeah.
But like,
don't take anything I said.
When we're at Disneyland or something and we all start getting cranky, we're like, we're at Disneyland. Why are we cranky? Oh,
eat.
We haven't eaten. Yeah. So, just that sort of thing, the communication and like being involved and being like, okay, you want to raise your prices. Like, how does that work? Because it doesn't make sense at first. Like, if you don't understand the consciousness behind it, you always have to start with the consciousness when you talk to your students. It's like, another thing different than the corporate world. No, like I can't imagine a partner going, why are you going to ask for a raise? Like, you think you deserve a raise?
Oh my gosh.
No,
if you ask for a raise, they're going to fire you and then we'll be living with your parents.
Yeah. And so it's just, but when you're your own business and you're trying to take control, like sometimes that can be scary because, again, it's small. It's a small community. It's a small family where like, every little bit can make a difference, but grow together, love one another.
Yeah. Choose growth.
PMA. Positive mental attitude. Listen to Bad Brains.
PMA while you choose pain.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So choose the quick pain.
Choose the quick pain
over long-term suffering.
Right.
Yeah. Okay, bye.
Hey hairdressers, are you looking for health insurance? It's time to get healthy with Hairdresser Healthcare, the only coverage designed specifically for the beauty industry. Whether you're an independent stylist, a salon owner with a team, a makeup artist, or a massage therapist, we've got you covered with comprehensive and affordable benefits. With options for self-enrollment and year-round open enrollment, taking control of your health has never been easier. And the best part is, it's available in every state. Visit hairdresserhealthcare.com and take control of your health today because you, your team, and your family deserve it.
Sorry.